published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here this evening. The first, excuse me, Omar, please, can we do a roll call?
Sure. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Here.
Councilmember Michaels?
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Councilmember Larry? Here. Mayor Zimmer?
Here. Okay, we have two presentations first this evening. The first is the Holiday Festival of Vishu Proclamation. Venu, would you like to read this, Councilman?
Happy to do so. I've done this for a couple of years now, so you're probably getting deja vu from it. But I'll just get into it. It's a South Indian holiday from the state of Kerala. So I'll just get into it. Whereas Vishu is a holiday celebrated by people from the South Indian state of Kerala and the worldwide Keralite diaspora to mark the beginning of the new year. Whereas Vishu is on the first day of the Hindu lunar month of Madam according to the Hindu lunar calendar, and which falls on the 14th day of April according to the Gregorian calendar. And whereas Vishu corresponds to similar New Year holidays celebrated in other Indian states, which are also observed on this day, such as Poila Baisakh in Bengal, Baisakhi in Punjab, Puthandu in Tamil Nadu, and Bihu in Assam. Whereas in Sanskrit, Vishu means equal and connotes the equinox on the day of Mesha Sankranti. Whereas Vishu marks the beginning of new hopes and aspirations in one's life and is widely celebrated by people from Kerala. Whereas three traditional elements of Vishu celebrations are the Vishu Kani, the Vishu Kainitam, and Vishu Balam. Whereas it is believed that to have a happy and prosperous year ahead, the first sight one should see on the morning of Vishu is the Vishu Kani, which is a collection of auspicious items such as fruits, rice, vegetables, flowers, lamps, coconut, gold ornaments, coins, a metal mirror, a water-filled pot, and new clothing, all placed on a large circular plate or vessel, along with an image of Sri Krishna. And this is meant to reflect beauty, light, and abundance. Whereas the custom of Vishu Kainitam involves elders of the family gifting money to children and others to share in the happiness of the day. Whereas over 600,000 people from the state of Kerala have over past decades migrated to the United States, and a significant number of the approximately 500 Tenafly residents and over 40,000 Bergen County residents of Asian Indian background similarly have their family's origins in Kerala and celebrate Vishu annually. Now, therefore, the Borough of Tenafly Mayor and Council does hereby recognize the New Year's holiday of Vishu and wishes all people from Kerala, along with all the residents in the Borough of Tenafly, a happy Vishu, or Vishu Ashamsakal, or more recognizably, a happy Vishu.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Okay, next presentation is the Arbor Day Proclamation. Julie or Dan, would one of you like to read this?
Go ahead, Julie.
Thanks. Yeah, I got it. Thanks. So just before I read it, to tell you that the Arbor Day planting is probably going to be at McKay this year. We always pick a school, and so mark your calendars if anyone's available during the day to go to McKay for the planting. Whereas the last Friday of April 26, 2024, is designated as National Arbor Day, which is a day set aside to promote the planting of trees, tree conservancy, and appreciation of our environment. And whereas the Borough of Tenafly has promoted tree conservancy and planting for many years, and whereas trees in our community increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our borough, and whereas the Borough of Tenafly has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly do proclaim April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day and urge all citizens to celebrate this day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands.
Okay, thank you very much. Great job.
That's my teacher.
Okay, the first item to be considered is the streetscape update. Councilman Michael, I believe you were going to talk about this a little bit.
Streetscape, is that you were talking?
You had asked to put it on. Did you want to talk about it?
Was that Jamie's? Is it?
I gotta take my time. It's too hard. Forgive me. Okay,
Maybe.
Let's skip that one.
we're gonna skip that one. Okay, let's
So
talk.
just everything else has been taken care of. I think the only one was the river edge.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about that.
Okay, so let's move on. Thank you, Adam, for that. Let's move on to.
All about efficiency.
Let's move on to the downtown parking ordinance. All members of the council should have this draft ordinance from the planning board in front of them that they approved to put forth to the council as a recommendation. Since that approval, of course, there's been some conversations about ways of potentially simplifying and streamlining this entire process, which would essentially be, instead of granting a license to a property owner, they would be granted a variance based on the same sort of metrics, okay, that you see in this draft ordinance here. And therefore, there would be no, what's the best way to say this? There would be no sense that the property owner is obtaining any sort of license or rights over any particular borough property. So they'll be getting a relief from their variance instead. Still, again, the same metric, still required to be paid what we were calling a license fee. It would be a fee for the variance relief. Whoever is using the parking spot would still be required to pay the annual rent for that parking space.
Both those monies go to the borough.
All that money goes to the borough. And so a couple of things on that point, just so everyone understands, this actually isn't the first time the borough has done this. All along Piermont Road, we have Demers Plaza, we have Havad, we have Latz over there. All of those organizations received variances from the planning board of the borough, whatever it was 20, 25 years ago. And part of their variance was they had to rent parking spaces off-site. Okay, so it's I don't want to say literally, but virtually the same concept. They were granted variances, they rented parking spaces off-site.
When they rented the parking spaces off-site, did they rent them from borough-owned properties?
Okay, so those parking spots along Piermont on the eastern side are owned by CSX. And the businesses were paying their rent to CSX directly. The planning board required in the granting of the variances that they rent parking spots somewhere. Of course, it was across the street. That was the obvious place they were going to rent them from. Now, CSX has leased the borough of Tenafly all that property. So those property owners over there will ultimately be paying rent to Tenafly for those parking spaces.
So,
Go ahead, Vinu.
just a question about does this then return back to the planning board for discussion?
Right, so what the process would be, if we get a consensus from the council tonight about adjusting this, it would then go back to the planning board, and then the planning board would revise it based on the council's viewpoint.
Sure.
And then the process would come back again to us.
Yeah, but purely, is it a strict interpretation of what we're sending back to them, or does it open up the discussion?
Does it open up
generally?
Pandora's box? It's not intended to open up Pandora's box because the goal is exactly the same.
But nothing prevents it from being discussed.
Nothing. You could open up Pandora's box right now if you want, right? So nothing prevents that, but the planning board is not going to is not going to do something that they know the council isn't going to go for. Yes.
The planning board doesn't actually adopt the ordinance, the council does, so
Right.
ultimately
Right.
it's your decision what's on there, not them.
Sure.
Right, they make the recommendation. Dan?
Just wanted to propose something for the fee schedule, for the
For the
fees.
what?
The fees. I was thinking perhaps we should do what's it called, a schedule or a step. So for the first 4 spots, a certain price fee. The next 4 spots, another fee, and then the next 4 spots, another fee, et cetera, et cetera.
So just so I have clarity, so in other words,
A growing
If-
scale.
if someone is required to have 10 parking spots in one building, they're only allowed to get 5 based on this ordinance. The first 4 cost a particular number, that 5th one costs an increased number.
Right.
Why?
So it doesn't motivate them to ignore so you're not jam packing or apartments into a spot rather than you're balancing.
Don't they don't have a choice of, I'm making this all up, isn't it? By law, if they have an apartment, they have to have 2 spots. If they have 5 apartments, they have to have 10 spots.
Or I can build 10 apartments in the same spot if I tried. So rather than, do you see what, like, it's a balancing act. If I buy 2 buy 2 lots, just go parking, I'll pay the borough. It's way easier. If you have a growing scale, you have to think about it twice.
Okay, but long story short on this is that we are enabling people to build with overnight parking. There's a certain allocation, however, that's paid for of spots per built unit, right? We are not transferring any property from the borough. In
No,
fact, we're just
not at
making
all.
this an accommodation of a building ordinance. And the borough receives the annual rent from each of the tenants collected directly by the borough, requiring a permit for overnight parking, monitored by the Tenafly police.
Right, and just to repeat something, the concept of a license fee would be stripped from this.
Understood.
Okay,
It's a perpetuity rather than a bullet payment.
pardon me?
It's a perpetuity rather than a bullet payment. All right, you'll pay rent in perpetuity as opposed to paying.
Oh, yeah,
one time for
if you don't pay your
license.
parking rent, you lose it.
The question then becomes, can we charge both a licensing fee, and I think that might accommodate what Dan saying, an upfront licensing fee for when you build a unit, you need to acquire that space that is attached to that unit, and then we have ongoing fees that are paid by the tenant of that.
Right,
You know,
I agree. I think there should be 2 fees. There's a
Yeah.
one-time developer fee.
Yes.
Of X dollars, and then every month for,
Well, that's how this is written, and that's how it would continue to be written. So there's
I got
there's 2
confused.
sets
It's
of
a
fees.
licensing
No.
fee. Right, well, I look
No.
at this as a licensing fee, it's an attachment to the unit. fee.
Well, no, the concept of a licensing fee grants someone a right to something very specific for a
Understood.
long time. We're saying we don't want to do that.
Agreed.
We're giving you relief from the zoning requirements, which
Just
is
wanna-
about that property at that time.
Just so we're all on the same page. This fee, plus if you're using the spot, you're paying the normal overnight parking fees. That's, okay.
again,
Nothing, there's no new ones, is what I'm saying.
right.
Right.
What I'd love is for Wendy to give us precedent, instead of us just making up a number, which would just be picking out of a hat. I would love to better understand, I'm gonna make up random numbers now, that it's $10,000, $100,000 one-time fee for
The zoning
whatever the right
part.
words are. Then it's $100 a month. The developer pays that X dollars, and then it's $100 a month for rent. Just like when we used to live in the city, I used to pay like $600 a month for obviously we shouldn't be doing 600, but whatever the number is. But again, instead of us making up numbers, I'm sure Wendy could find for us other towns that what is it like?
Right, so you already have a parking permit program in place for different situations. You have commuter parking for residents, you have commuter parking for parking for non-residents, and there is one location where there is overnight parking available as well for certain residents that come in and apply, and they all have to come in for their permits. This would be something similar. I will say that, it is definitely worth looking overall at your parking permit program and fee schedule. I don't know that it's when the last time that it was looked at as far as the fees. It is much lower than other towns that I work in.
So let's look at it all together, just like we looked at the building fees, just like we looked at the rent, that's what we gotta look at. And again, I look at this as, and I've said this publicly many, many times over many, many years, I don't love the fact that our property taxes are what they are, but I do believe that, like, a value added, if you want to build a pool, if you want to do something that you get to choose that you want to do, there should be fees associated with that. Every time we do things like that, that in effect lowers our property tax needs because, you know, it's being offset by other things, but it's a voluntary thing. You can choose to do these things. I look at this as a positive because in effect, it lowers our property taxes by getting fees like that.
Just a question, you know, and I brought this up with the planning board that, you know, the amount that we were talking about under the previous proposal was that it would cost $10,000, let's say, for a spot. And then we're talking about a 20-year, you know, horizon for that before it's reevaluated, you know. But you're talking about $20,000, which over 20 years is, sorry, $10,000 over 20 years is $500
Okay, I don't think that's enough.
for a spot. You know, so the
That's
question is
one
what? No, that's one part of the fees. You know, there's one fee and then there's the yearly. But you know, we're talking about, you know, to make it worth our while. You know, that would have to be $100,000 in my, because what we're talking about is if you're talking about 20 spots, okay, $500 times 20 spots, that's $10,000 a year. Okay, the $10,000 is a drop in the bucket as far as property taxes are concerned. So, you know, just to finish the thought, you know, just to finish the thought.
I agree.
No, I'm saying that no matter what you do, at some point it'll be cost prohibitive for the property manager, and they'll say, you know, 50,000, no way, I'm not going to do this. But you know, but we have to make sure that 50,000 actually does have an impact to property taxes.
No, I agree.
And I don't think it will.
So we have to see, and again, that's why I want us to make it up. I want them to come and just give us a precedent. The thing that's important, though, is just so the public understands, these are not spots, you know, on Washington next to, you know, Miller's Bakery, right? These are places that if I asked 10 residents, I bet you $1 that 8 of them wouldn't even know that they were parking spots. We're talking about 2 parking lots, one being behind the movie theater, extra credit if you could find any residents that realize that we do have parking there. And then the other one is, and it's not a joke, it's called the Boy Scouts Christmas tree lot, because the only time of year that those spots across from Wells Fargo catty corner to Wells Fargo is used is when the Boy Scouts, thank goodness, use it to sell Christmas trees.
Well, two things. One is, you know, your thought about that they won't find it will be solved with your wayfinder signs. Okay, so you then know exactly where the spots are. Okay, because you know, maybe they don't know. Maybe they haven't been guided to where it goes. You know, so that's one. And then catty corner, you know, the parking over in Lockview, which nobody knows. Actually, a lot of people know because we, you know, whenever there's concerts in the summer, people park there. Whenever there's other, you know, large-scale events that like the ones you're trying to put together, they know about it. They park there, and then you know, and then yeah, occasionally it's used by the Boy Scouts. But
my
I think even that's been
understanding of this is that those spaces are still available for public parking if they're not used by the overnight tenant at that time.
At that moment.
Correct.
Right, none of these are reserved spots.
Until a certain hour of the night.
right.
Well, just
At which point you need to vacate
by
them.
law,
Right, of course.
It's not by a certain hour, but just by law, you're not.
Correct.
Well,
But during like a concert or something like that, if somebody's not using that spot, it is available for public consumption.
the current proposal you know, that's at hand is to talk about, you know, having the people who get these at the moment licenses to be able to go past the hours or, you know, park during the hours. So, you know, it's not for just anyone, but still you're taking away parking because those people are not prohibited from parking during the day.
Yep.
So, I have
Go ahead,
a few
Julie,
questions.
please.
And actually, Mr. Mayor, I was wondering, I know we're not formally taking action in this part of the agenda, but I was wondering after we ask our questions, if perhaps we could also hear from any residents as well.
Sure, happy to do
before
that.
we get consensus ourselves.
Yeah.
So I had a few questions. So, this proposal, these would be, these permissions, would they be linked to a particular renter's car then? Is that how that goes? It's not linked to a certain lot.
Okay,
How
so,
does that?
so
So let's
We
take your
already have-
apartment, we got
you
5,
live at 123 Washington Street,
yeah,
okay? And your apartment has, because of the zoning relief, you're able to park in one of the two lots overnight. There's no assigned spaces, okay? You get whatever it is, a hang tag, whatever the borough is currently issuing. You get the hang tag on your car, you come home after work, and you park your car in one of the two lots that you're allowed to park in.
In addition to that question, since the town is the the entity taking care of those two lots, does that mean if it's snowing, that we need to clear that for the person to go get their car? Are we like who they're renting it from?
Right, so the lots would be cleaned based on the way the DPW cleans them now. They would, whatever, in other words, the DPW during snowstorms, it all depends on what time the snow starts falling, right? So what's the process? They de-ice first based on timing, then they come out with the snow plows as soon as the snow is about 2 inches deep. And they cover the whole town with about 12 trucks. So, they're covering those parking lots, and everything gets done in order of seniority. So in other words, we'll take care of, Tenafly Road, Knickerbocker Road, East Clinton, West Clinton, River Edge Road, and then we go to smaller streets, and then eventually the parking lot. So that's how it's done. That process would continue the same way.
We're not putting them to a higher on the.
No more than we do if you're
Like a,
if you're a homeowner on a cul-de-sac,
right.
right?
It's
So
like-
all the homeowners everyone is equal in terms of that. It's not contemplated that the DPW scheduling would change, because it would become totally inefficient.
And these lots are, just another clarification, this is only a fraction of the lots. So it's not like we're not doing the lot we're not giving up the whole lot. X% of the lot, a majority of the lot, is still public parking.
So then, that was a jump off to another question I had.
Go ahead.
This is looking at 20 spots. Now, how many apartments more does that allow for? Is that 20 more
So,
apartments, or is that 10 more apartments?
no, it would be the opposite of that. So if the ratio is you have to provide 50% of the parking requirements, and we assign 20 as a number of parking spots, that means there would be 40 apartments. Go ahead, Vinod.
So just on that specific point, nothing prevents, so if they've built apartments that will take over the 20 spots, let's say it's 40 apartments or whatever.
Right.
If they go to 50, then there is still the option for the council or a future council, or whenever it comes due, to reevaluate that and increase the number of spots in that lot.
That's correct. So Vinod is correct. So in other words, the 20 is the council's decision and will continue to be. So if the council chooses not to not to go to 25 in the future, then so be it.
And it can go to other lots as well.
You can, yes, and that's already in this, is that the council can choose to change the lots if it chooses downtown. Right.
And then my last question was, so you mentioned currently like Chabad, for example, we give them a variance and they rent from CSX.
Correct.
Right? Are there any places in town that we give variances for them to rent from borough property?
On borough property. So I'm going to have to say none that I know of.
Okay. So my.
Except to the extent now, right, so but by virtue of the lease, while those parking spots aren't borough property, we have the right, we're paying rent, we're leasing it, we sublease it out.
So we're essentially like the property owner.
Correct.
In this scenario, we would be the property owner and the,
Right, on the CSX property, so the borough would collect the rent, and then the borough pays CSX whatever the master lease says.
Okay, and so my misgiving just so far is because I've heard from a few council people about this idea of revisiting things, like revisiting fees or all sorts of things. And I was just worried about this idea is if we grant a variance, is there some mechanism we could put into this where we say later on, you know, we actually do need those lots and those spots. And while the person who built the apartment building, they have their variance, but now we are not able any longer to provide the town property for those extra spots. You know, please find those spots privately, like we do with other scenarios, like Chabad. Can we revisit this later? That's
So-
my concern.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 public parking spots downtown that are encased in Washington Street and Railroad Avenue. 100% of it is empty overnight. So I guess theoretically in some future date, if the town decides to sell off all of its property or build things downtown, there'll be no more parking anywhere for anyone. And I don't know if that is something that is very likely to happen, because then there'll be nowhere for shoppers to park, right, in terms, realistically, right? And unless somewhere 50 years from now, people do things very differently, right? We can't account for that. Issuance of parking.
I was just
Go
pointing
ahead.
out that, so I mentioned earlier that there already is an overnight permit program for a limited number of spots. It's just called up the ordinance. It's for 6 spots. It's first come, first served, and it's for residents whose residence is within the downtown shopping district. So this isn't something new, the overnight parking part of it. What's new is the idea of allowing for the variance to the developer and increasing the number of those spots available. This program, or the shell of what the mayor has been explaining, is already in your code.
Okay. But back to my question about.
Can you take them back? I think that's,
Yeah.
as a matter of course, I'm not a lawyer, the lawyer is here, we don't take back variances after they're granted.
Right, so once those approvals would be perfected, they're perfected.
Right.
The permits are assigned annually, so you could take
Right.
those back.
Right, okay, so that's, I'm really drilling down here, I'm getting pretty granular. We allow the variances for these apartment buildings, if that's the way the council goes. But we don't want to provide the space on the borough property. Can't take back a variance, obviously can't remove the floor, but that's the question.
Right, so the answer would be that once the permit's issued for the time period that it's issued, I would recommend against that. But once the permit expires, then yes, you could reclaim those spots and not reissue a permit
And the permits are to be issued,
to the residents.
and how long?
Annually.
Annually.
Annual parking permits.
Okay, understood. Okay, all right, that's good information. Not that it'll happen, I just want,
Sure.
to know
And
that.
you can always designate a different parking lot if you find that a particular parking lot has a use that is going to be changed. Then you can,
Well, yeah,
right. You reserve the right to designate a different area in which permit holders may park.
understood.
Vanu, were you done, Julie?
Yes.
Vanu, did you have a question?
yeah, it was just a quick question about, we're allowing, so right now 100% or 100% minus the 6 spots doesn't allow for overnight parking. If we what is preventing us from just having the resident without, assigning it to the developer or the property owner? What's preventing us from just having the resident come to us and say, we need a spot? I mean, this could be not just in the downtown, but anyway. Why can't we change the ordinance to broaden it? Some
Well, right
people
now,
have
the
three
only thing
spots.
preventing you is the confines of your existing ordinance, which requires a person to live downtown and limits it at 6 overall spots in 2 different parking lots, I believe. Or 6 spots total, though.
You're asking why we bother
I'm sorry,
taking a
what?
fee from the developer?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's one question. Why bother with
Wait,
the
hold on.
fee from the developer?
So let's say I got an apartment downtown and I collect cars. It's stopping me from getting,
1 per resident.
okay.
Right, but I mean, the question is
That's in the
why,
ordinance.
why not, just say,
For residents.
we're not going to take anything from the developer, just, the resident can come and ask for a spot.
Why would you forego the income?
Well, I mean, how much are we talking about?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Because now you're pretty much giving the developer or the property owner control over those spots.
We're not giving control. As I understand it, what we're doing is we're relieving them of the obligation. We're providing
No,
them
no, no, no,
variance
but-
to it, which is in control. We're not relinquishing for a
Well,
property.
once we've given them, we've relieved them of the obligation, they now have control over those spots in perpetuity. So that's trying to take away that control,
Well,
their
I-
control over.
I hear you, and
public-
I want to understand what you're saying, because I think there's a fundamental disagreement. I think at the end of the day, what we're saying is, this is a variance that we're providing for a fee, right? Once you have that variance, as Julie just asked, we have the right on an annual renewal basis to renew or choose not to renew those existing permits. So I don't agree that we're relinquishing control over a property. I agree that we're doing it on a permanent basis for a tenor of 1 year. Do you see it differently?
Are we doing it a year at a time? Or?
Well, the parking,
Yes, yeah.
parking tags are annual, that's what it is now. They're
So you don't
annual.
need to renew. That's what Julie just asked. You don't need to renew that after a year.
Yeah, but
I would sue
why-
the borough. So to
why-
your point,
why-
if I had paid you a fee for the variance, which is why it needs to be crafted very correctly as a legal matter, that this is for the variance, not for a control function, as you're suggesting. I agree with you. You don't want to relinquish long duration control or any control of it. What you're doing is you're saying for purposes of building, that this accommodates that need, and therefore we're going to collect on an annual basis permanent parking fees, which we can relinquish at any time.
So what is the property manager paying for?
The variance.
The variance.
Yeah, but why does if his he's getting the variance for the number of apartments and the parking, but that's parking on his space. So he can have 4 spots, and he can rent to 8 people, and they can
It
on
has
their
to run
own
through the
kind of go
town.
out.
Those spots go 1 per
The
resident
developer
through the
doesn't
town.
get the king tag tag.
Right.
Right,
Individual.
it's individual, let's approve a lease.
Part-
If I
part of
need to walk in with a lease that says I live on this property, I have 1 driver, 1 car, 1 permit.
Right, but
One step better is, it is possible that we get the money from the developer, making this all up. Everybody that lives in the house is 15 and a half years old and doesn't have a driver's license. And, no, but it's true that you don't know exactly the number of,
what the main
not everybody is going to take their full card. Yet, we will get that money from the developer.
All right. So
So I think there's a lot to
yeah,
discuss it.
so do we have a consensus to bring this back to the planning board?
I wanted to hear from the people.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right, 100%, okay. Do any members, thank you for reminding me, do any members of the public like to speak on this particular topic only, please? You're welcome to come to the microphone. And no one present here? One person, come on up, Max. And please give us your name and address as always.
Max
Sean,
Fox,
what's your handle?
148 Magnolia Avenue. First of all, I want to say that this proposal is a light year ahead of what the planning board has basically decided, and I want to congratulate you on that. The second part is that we still, like everything else, the details in the mind. And when you go to the planning board, that's a disaster. What was over there, they're worried we should not charge too much a developer. Over so many years, we should limit how much money, how much we can increase. They were worried about the developers, they're not worried about the town. And it's gonna go back to them, so be prepared for the same thing. What I was asking you to do is to make sure that the fee is a fee that is commercially feasible for a parking spot in Tenafly or the around Tenafly towns, and it's not something that is a giveaway.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we can, based on the requirements of the town, can increase the fees when these fees become a tool for us to unload the burdens of the specific developers or development that are burdening the town. I know that there is a complete different approach for the downtown versus the other apartments in town. And theoretically, the planning board cannot take into consideration the taxes. But we know that for every apartment, the residents in Tenafly have to pay between $10,000 to $14,000 a year in school taxes that the apartments would not be able to cover. A child to be educated is $17,000 to $18,000 a year, $4,000 in basically in the town taxes. That makes it $21,000. The most in taxes a apartment can get is $10,000. So if you have one child in school, you, me, and everybody else have to pay $11,000 extra for those people. If you have 10 apartments, we have to pay $110,000. And if you have 40 apartments, because we have to pay 4 times $400,000. And if you have a child and a half, as a matter of the studies have shown, those apartments have 1.7 times the number of children, which means per apartment, we are looking around something to $17,000 to $20,000 a year that we have to cover 40 apartments to bring you close to $1 million that the residents in Tenafly will have to pay just for the privilege that the developers can get millions of dollars on their pockets developing things in Tenafly. But that being said, I know that there is a huge push over here to get those developers happy, and they paid a lot of money for people to be elected. So what I'm trying to make sure...
Max, you've used up your 3 minutes, so thanks. We all appreciate it. No, your 3 minutes are up. That's enough. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak, please? Yes, come up, Howie, and give us your name and address.
Howard Side 88 Willow Lane, Tenafly. So I actually like this a little better than what was before the planning board before. I felt that the other option, the developers were able to tack on to the residents and make a huge profit over it. So I do like this better. But my question is, hearing today mentioning about CSX, is that all part of this deal? Is it like
In terms of this parking thing we're talking
Yes.
about? No, it's a whole separate, we talked about that as an example of what's going on over on Piermont Road. So you have those businesses on Piermont Road, Latz, Demarest, the restaurant over there. And when they received their variances to open up their businesses there, whatever, 20, 25 years ago, part of the variance was that they were required to have renting of parking spaces from CSX as a function of getting their approvals. And that's what they've been doing.
Okay, no, 'cause my one question was if the town did take over those lots, as you guys are saying, I was just curious if CSX ended up selling the line, what happens with the town and the parking spaces?
Well, we have a lease, so I assume we have a lease with the organization. So the successor interest, the successor company would be obligated to abide by the lease.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else like to speak here? Oh, anyone else? Shama, go ahead. Your hand is up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. First of all, I want to say this new plan that you are suggesting is way, way better than what the planning board had suggested. And I hope you will continue to make it even better, fine tune what needs to be done and go over all the things. I just have one question. There was talk in the planning board about it being like a 20-year lease, and then to make sure that it could only be increased by consumer price index. My feeling is that to tie a future council by limiting them in this way is really not right. Are you still thinking of something like that?
Good question, Shama. No, that entire concept would disappear with this.
Okay.
In other words, there would be no license fee, no 20-year period of time, no CPI tying. Simply, they would pay their fee to get the variance relief. Okay, and then that's it. They would have the variance, just like Demers Plaza has their variance from 25 years ago. Same concept. In this particular situation, though, the second fee would be the annual parking fee that would get paid to the borough for the individual who parks their car in a spot. So what you just were talking about would disappear.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I think this is a much, much better plan, and I hope you'll all move forward with it. You know, Mayor, I spoke to you about this, that my opposition was not to people living in apartments. My opposition was to the borough property not being controlled by the borough. So I'm glad you figured out a way to do that, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Shama. Anyone else out on Zoom who would like to speak or has a question on this topic only, please?
To Mayor, if I.
No? Omar, are you seeing anyone? Let me just.
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
So just because I was listening to some people, when you say about reaching consensus and this going back to planning board, it seems like there's an appetite to drill down a little bit more into these fees. How does, is that something determined at planning board with our suggestions? That comes back to us and we determine it.
So the fee is the council's decision.
Gotcha.
So we go back to the planning board with this. Whatever number is plugged in there, we've talked about this number of 10,000, that number will be still in there. After everyone slept on it and it comes back to you and the council decides on a different number, that'll be the number. Again, as Wendy said, it's the council that has to pass the ordinance, not the planning board.
So long story short, we can set a number in terms of what the initial variance fee is, and then we can do market rates on an ongoing basis as it relates to the purpose of the.
Correct.
And let's see if there's precedence that about just going down numbers, let's see if there's precedent on that license fee also.
Okay, so I have consensus to bring this back to the planning board for revisions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I put
Okay,
you through your paces, Mr. Mayor. I always got a lot of questions.
Pardon me?
You know, I always got a lot of questions.
that's okay. It's all good. It's all good. All right, so next on, thank you for that, everyone. Next is the basement garage flooding relief. Wendy's going to just give us a tiny little update on the status of this.
Yeah, just to update everyone, because it's been a little bit, we do have a proposed form of ordinance that the engineers have put together that's being reviewed in my office at the moment. And we hope to have something to you all for the next meeting for consideration, at least to be considered, if not to be introduced. But the basic function of this ordinance would be to allow persons who have an existing downward sloping garage, downward from the road, that can provide proofs of flooding, of impact, et cetera, of what they can do to retrofit and remove the garage and make it watertight and part of the home, and thereby not requiring them to have a internal garage space, which is otherwise your ordinance at the moment.
Anyone have any questions on that progress?
Yeah,
No?
that's pretty good.
Okay.
That's good.
Put that together.
Yeah, that was good.
Dan, did you want to talk about cannabis a little bit?
No update as of yet.
No update as of yet?
We're
Okay.
working on some details.
Pardon me?
Working out some details.
Okay.
Who's
that's
on
it.
that committee again? I forgot. I know Jamie, oh, and John, gotcha. All right.
Okay. Next topic is downtown cameras. Chief, you want to come to the microphone, please? So So the thought was, the council discussed this a meeting or two ago, and we wanted to have an opportunity for anybody who wanted to weigh in on this to come and, give us their views on it, and have you come and speak to the council about this concept of putting a camera on Washington Street and kind of how we got to it.
Yeah, so we have some cameras in town for other purposes. The downtown area is a very sensitive location in the borough. It's probably where we have our heaviest concentrations of people, of volumes of pedestrians. I've been for 31 years in town, and downtown actually is this place. When it comes to motor crashes, pedestrians getting hit, slip and falls on borough property. People using the garbage cans, businesses, something that basically we've had to deal with in the past. We have a park down there, which is borough controlled. The downtown area is borough right away, basically it's the area that we maintain. We have a business downtown, I want to mention it, the name, but it's been burglarized 3 times in 4 months, which is very, very frustrating. We also have a couple other businesses down there that had some smash and grabs over a period of time. Thank goodness it's not a lot, but we do have a lot of activity down there. The cameras would be a great tool for investigative purposes. We have a lot of cameras that actually pipe back to headquarters now. Schools, JCC, some of our synagogues, other borough cameras. There is a very limited ratio about how many monitors people can watch at a time. It's just all over, you just can't do it. So these cameras, maybe 1 or 2 may be up, I don't really be looking at them, but if something does happen, we have the ability to actually look at them very quickly and make it very helpful information to responding officers. The mainly is for follow-up investigative purposes, where we've had a burglary, we've had a crash, that someone's fallen trying to shoot the borough. It's an invaluable tool. Businesses do have cameras, but a lot of them basically serve their own business and look kind of at their business and right down to stoop. A lot of banks in town or something but we always go to them for camera footage. It's always missing a little piece. So I think it would be a lot of the towns have Magwood. Their whole downtown is lined with the cameras, and it's been very beneficial for them in the past. And I just think it's something that would be in the best interest of the town. I think also too with certain residents to provide some extra protection. You never know what's going to happen, but it's a good tool to have. The ones I'm looking to get the approval are relatively inexpensive, and that's really about where I came with this. Again, we've had flags that are desecrated, burned, stolen. So we do have some activity. People have a tendency to come down and do things in a downtown area, and we can't be there all the time to monitor it. So the cameras would be very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Who has questions for the Chief? Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, thank you for coming out, Chief. So I remember when you were bringing this up during budget, and I, along with a few other council people, had wanted you to just kind of put this out here so everyone can hear the thinking, because it's a little bit different than what we have been doing thus far. Where exactly are you looking to install the cameras?
That's a good question, because we don't have big utility poles downtown, and thankfully so. Actually, something that looks very aesthetic. So that's going to be up to the experts. The cameras that I think I would like to get are like a line of sight. So basically, one looks at another one, looks at another one, and they communicate back to headquarters. I don't really have the exact locations, but I would like to have a view of Washington, a view of West Fairfield Avenue, a view of Highwood, a view of Hillside. There's banks down there, there's parks down there, just a general view. And again, we're not going to have a lot, and they have limitations, but they would be better than not having any that we have now.
And then you had mentioned in that other meeting that the officers, this feeds back to the police station, but you're not monitoring them all the time, right? Can you explain that, and what also happens to footage after it's recorded?
I believe the ratio is like the average human being can really only process 6 monitors at one time, because it's just overload. You just can't multitask. So we have hundreds of camera views. It's impossible. So I just like to have it like basically with the movement of a mouse.
to look at if we got something going on downtown, we could look at it, dispatch it, give information to the responding officer, but mainly it's for follow-up. Most of our cameras are for follow-up investigation. We do a great job with investigations, and a lot of the crimes that are solved, that we bring charges to people usually basically fall into, it's not immediate. So as to the storage part of it, so it would be stored to a database, and probably would have like a 30-day loop. That's kind of where we get and it gets overwritten if nothing is worth it.
After 30 days, roughly.
Yeah, yeah. There's no, obviously the data has a cost money, so we want to. If there's no reason to hold it, we'll probably overwrite it.
And can I, while I also have you here, I just want to ask, I know that many years ago, maybe you can even see it, it's currently designated as a police officer parking spot, across from the jeweler, that's by the, across from Tenafly Diner. Do we not have as many, like, police officers downtown as we used to? Is this just kind of, because I don't usually, because I know we used to kind of see a police officer parked there, just kind of a question.
Years ago, many years ago, there used to be post one, but obviously the job has evolved and the quality line has evolved since the system. So we don't have a permanent person downtown. So obviously, the cable organization only grew. Actually, no, cable organization actually shrunk. When I first came on with 37 officers, 35 officers, the quality line has gone up. So obviously, our officers are actually responding to areas of town. But we do put an emphasis on patrolling town. We are right now cracking down on U-turns like crazy, and we're going to continue with that. So, but that spot there is so officer can get a spot very quickly because yes, you park a police car with flashing lights, but if it's not an emergency, can't be parked a police car illegally. We got an example, so that's what that spot is designated for.
Any other question? Go ahead, Vinod.
Will there be? Is there going to be signage on Washington Street if we put these the cameras up? There's something that says that there are cameras.
Some small signs at the different level probably can't hurt. Something that the area something's under surveillance, but you're going to see them. I mean, they're going to be probably dome type things up. Obviously, higher point looking down and down the road, ankle down.
Because I think you mentioned Englewood as having them. I think they have signs. That,
something that probably would have some level of deterrence with some people. It can't hurt.
Is there a legal requirement to do that?
I'd have to check.
Actually, I like the idea.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
I'm not doing it
Yeah.
as much for awareness as much as it could
Deterrent?
deter. Well, that's even awesome.
Listen, there's a lot of signs up in town, some on private properties, and there are no cameras. But people think they're on camera. Yes.
Take the win.
And also, Mr. Mayor, since I thought that maybe he should be here to talk about it, I didn't know if maybe you want to open up any.
Sure, I have,
public
actually, I
comment.
plan to with this one also. Any other questions for the council first? Any members of the public want to make a comment about cameras? Howie, come on up and tell us your name.
I'm still Howard Son.
Yay.
Willow Lane.
It'd be way cooler if it changed.
I think this is great. I think police department embracing the technology. I work per diem over at Bergen County's Public Safety Operations Center, so I see most of the towns, the cameras that they do have there, get the feeds in there. And you can't monitor them all the time, but at a moment's notice, they're available. Dispatcher can bring it up, and he can let the officers know because he can see what they're walking into. It could help save the officers. This is just like a win-win, and it's just going to help the people. So I'm glad to see that we might embrace and give them the technology that they need.
Okay,
I
thank
also
you.
love that there's a camera on my street. I think it's an Alpert, but it makes me feel safe at night knowing that I'm being protected.
Thank you, Howie. Anyone else here in the chambers like to speak about this or have a question? Anyone online on Zoom who would like to make a comment about cameras downtown?
See no hands, Mayor.
No hands? Okay. Any other questions from the council for the chief? So we have consensus to move forward for the chief to expand the program downtown with the cameras?
You could put it in the budget. I know this was
Yeah.
on pause, right? Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I
Sounds
think
good.
clarity, Susan? We'll expand the camera program downtown as the chief's direction. Okay, thank you, chief, for being here. Well, we'll see you in a little while, won't we? Okay. Administrators report. David, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We have had some recent meetings with the traffic engineer who is now prepared to move forward with design and bid specifications for the planned Piermont Road closure plan. The test period is targeted to commence in July and go through the end of September. So his preliminary design will be presented at the next council meeting for review. The planned traffic improvement on Piermont at J, the curb bump outs, he still has some work to do, so that's not quite ready to be moved forward. The traffic light at Dean and East Clinton is targeted to move to design and bid specifications, which we anticipate he should have available at some point over the summer. The goal with all of this is that there's ARP funding set aside for these projects, and we want to be in a position to encumber those funds before the deadline of December 31st of this year. The traffic light at Dean and East Clinton, the equipment to be manufactured has a significant lead time. So the sooner we can get out to bid and then get the bid results and award the bid, we can get that process underway. We are ready to move forward with the all-way stop at Highwood and J. We were able to tack onto the contract with the current contractor that's doing the DOT work on Highwood to, in fact, put some of the handicap ramp requirements in that will go along with that all-way stop. And
So it's called all-way stop?
all-way stop, yeah, four-way stop, all-way stop. And the clerk had handed out a draft ordinance that the borough attorney wrote from a recommendation from the chief of police that is going to be, you're going to be asked to introduce this tonight under new business that would move forward with allowing for Highwood and J to have stop signs on all approaches. That project should be bid shortly, and I hope to be in a position to award the contract for that work either at the May 7th or May 21st meeting. This brings me to the next subject of the purchasing efficiency and process improvements. Right now, we are relying upon other professional services to write the bid specifications. Our QPA, Susan, and her staff are involved with compliance. Mostly they do not write the bid specifications. So what we have proposed is to engage Sean Canning, who is a QPA, and he would be appointed as assistant QPA to essentially move forward into an e-procurement process, which will streamline our processes and move our timeframes up so that projects that are authorized either in the ARP funding or in bond ordinances can move forward to being procured. And that project, that cost would be covered by cost avoidance in those other professional services, as well as avoiding cost increases for equipment that hasn't been procured before prices have been realized. The train station painting was scheduled to take place this past Saturday. The contractor went up. There's more problems with the cupola than what they had first thought. And because of the rain that is scheduled for the balance of the week, that was postponed. Yeah, and the infrared electric scan was done. Our electrician was on site during the scan and was able to make some immediate repairs of high priority issues. And they've issued a report for recommended improvements in the parts to go along with those recommendations that have been ordered by the electrician. So we are moving that forward expeditiously.
So when's the painting gonna happen now?
Well, they're gonna reschedule it once they get a few days that are not dry.
And we're still trying for May 18th for the rededication, so as long as we.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes,
Before the 18th.
we sort of had a.
17th. It'll be painted.
Yeah, the painting deadline, we've given them a drop dead of May 1st. So that's hopefully that there'll be some sunny days in a row between now and May. Under,
Yeah, just Adam's question, comment reminded me, with that dedication, of that train station on 18th, is that something that we're taking an active role in organizing, or is that our historical society? I just wasn't sure who was taking the lead on that.
I will get back to you on.
Just, thank you.
Yeah,
There's probably something
Good
historical should take-
reminder.
Julie,
Historical
that's,
preservation,
historical should be taking the lead.
which is done by Amanda in my office, so I'll get an update from her and send it.
Okay, yeah, I just, them talking to DPW and all that.
Yeah.
Promoting, obviously.
Under grants, we were able to pursue 2 grants. One was submitted to Senator Booker for the community project grant for the ADA improvements and trails at the Tenafly Nature Center, and the Bergen County Open Space Fund grant intent. The Senator Booker grant opportunity application will be through the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee for Housing and Urban Development for the community facilities ADA accessible improvements. And the Bergen County Open Space Fund would be for ADA improvements at the Little League Complex. The first grant was submitted on Monday, yesterday the 8th, and the letter of intent for the Bergen County Open Space Fund was submitted last Friday, April 5th, and there will be a public hearing before the council on that intent on our meeting of April 25th. Yep. I put it on that.
Go ahead.
All right, so we have also received an email from Congressman Gottheimer for the House side of community project applications, and his deadline is April 19th. So as you recall, we just were awarded a $1.6 million grant under his last process. So we should talk about what the council would like to request Congressman Gottheimer, the amount and project. Is it something we want to build upon the 1.6 to address additional water? And then we can have, we put some information together last year.
Right, so this is is the idea here that we might be able to expand, if the council comes to the consensus, expand where we're doing that clearing and desnagging, as I know that was kind of the first.
Yeah, I believe the request for last year's funding was $4.5 million.
It was the actual request was 2 million, and we received, the original was a 4 million, it got knocked down to 2 million. It's a 20% match, which means they're gonna come up, we're gonna get a check from Washington for 1.6 million, okay, for the cleaning up of the overpad and the tenant kill, okay? So whatever we bid on this year can't be, by the way, we want more for the project we were awarded last year. It has to be, we're looking to do X. Now that X could be, we want to put in $5 million worth of storm drain systems, okay, because we've got this conceptual issue going on.
Of our underground
Correct,
culvert
systems,
system.
right.
I think that we just keep hearing from residents about how much, relief they need for the flooding. It sounds like it makes sense to go in that
To
same
focus in that
direction.
area. What does everybody think?
I'm with it.
Everybody's good with that? Okay,
Just
so.
a question for you. The original request for 4 and then knocked down to 2 was based on an engineer number and the length of the creek and, okay.
So correct. So it was based on, how many miles of creek we have, what you can get done with a particular amount of money. Last year, we communicated, between the engineer and myself with Gottheimer's staff about what was realistic, what was appropriate. We negotiated something that had a shot of being successful. We actually went to them with 4 ideas, 3 of which they knocked out immediately. And then, we all came to this number, and we were very fortunate that it made its way past his staff, past him, to the House Appropriations Committee, and they voted on it.
And how much will that cover for that project? Just the entire town, the length of the
That,
creek?
that will cover so each of the Overpeck and the Tenafly are about 2 miles each. Yeah, and so it's about $500,000 a mile, so that will, with our matching part, that will cover the
Okay.
whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got clarity, we're gonna deal with stormwater.
Okay.
Just one last thing on the grants, if I could ask Councilwoman Corsair also. I saw going through all the grants, and thank you, Omar, there's a farmer's market promotion grant. You know, I like these that are, it's $500,000 max. So I was hoping maybe we could just take a quick look. We have till April 30th. We have another council meeting on April 27th. So if we could just take a quick look at it, you can speak to other committees. Actually, we could speak to the garden club also. I don't know why, but at $500,000, it's actually worth looking at if we can get some serious money. So so let's just take a look at that. Thank you, Omar, for that.
Anything else you want to report?
Just on the back page of my, my report, the one thing I would point out is that the workflow technology and FTE report is a work in progress. Our FTE count is relatively stable from where we were in 2014. And it's noted that you've added programs and services and assets during that period of time, and you have relatively the same amount of staff that we had a decade ago. What I'm working on right now is to get a perspective of all of the workflow processes and then looking to make sure that our technology that we've already purchased and have on board is being utilized to the fullest extent that it can be. And if there's current technology that is not being utilized, do we need to get rid of it and not continue to pay for it? And then this will all wrap up into the desire to have the dashboard, the role of dashboard that we discussed previously. So that's a work in progress. I'm happy to report that the cybersecurity coverage offered through the JIF, we are able to achieve both the basic and intermediate level, which what that means is we would have a $50,000 deductible currently per incident. So again, basic coverage will reduce that to $35,000, and once we comply with intermediate coverage, it'll bring it down to $20,000. We will be in a position to certify that by mid-May to the JIF. So we will go from $50,000 deductible to $20,000. The next level is advanced, which there's a cost proposition that we're studying right now to get to a zero deductible, but we would look at a cost to benefit analysis because if that requires us to spend $50,000 a year, then we might be satisfied at the intermediate level and stay with the $20,000 deductible. The rest of, if there's any questions about my report, I could answer them, but they're the highlights at this point.
Any questions for David? No? Okay, thank you, David.
Actually, just the only thing, and it's not recommended in your report, but it's in your section, is there a way, and I'd love your counsel on this, we always get the Colliers, the engineering report in your section, and I'm convinced 98.3% of it is just redundant for the past 47 years. I think they just fixed, Washington's, outhouse. Is there a way to ask Colliers, their report, to create, again, a Gantt chart of sorts that helps us understand when the timelines are supposed to hit?
Yes.
So swim club, we're in these 3 phases, and this is when we expect to see something versus swim club will be good sometime before someone graduates.
Yeah, so I thank you for bringing it up. As you and I met last week, we are going to be creating Gantt charts for the downtown projects and the IRP funding. So yeah, I will request that they create a Gantt chart for this so it's easier. And once we get into this dashboard process that I'm referring, all of that will be in a roll up into the charts and graphs. So, and then you can drill into the granular level if you'd like to.
think so.
We just need the dates again.
Never read that.
Sports court,
I don't read that
no
one. It's
dates.
the regular ones.
Leaf compost, no dates. Little league field, no dates. Fairmont Closure, we just.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to public comment. Is anyone here in the chambers who'd like to make any public comments? Feel free, come right up. If you could be so kind as to give us your name and address, please.
Of course, Aaron Schnark, and I live on a street called Sherwood Drive. First time here, thank you for making time, Mayor and Council. I'm here to speak on behalf of the residents of this small street about a safety hazard with the pavement condition. This is a street that does not have pedestrian pavement on the sides and serves.
Sorry, what street? Sherwood?
Sherwood.
Yeah.
And serves very community of senior citizens, some of them well in their 80s, as well as young children that would use that street to go to J. Spencer Smith School, to middle school, Tenafly High School. There's been some minor injuries, and the condition of the street is in disrepair. I'm here to discuss that, bring that to the attention of the council, and see what can be done so that we can expeditiously repave that hopefully this spring.
So this is the one that's being done as part of the rivers. Go ahead.
Right, so our borough engineer has advised that we're gonna do that road this spring. We're doing paving through the Riverside Cooperative that the borough aggregates pricing under. So it's going to be added to that program and will be done this spring. I don't have a particular date. Typically, the paving will take place in June.
Understood. That's reassuring and appreciated. I will bring that to the rest of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight. Anyone else in the chambers has a comment or a question? Okay, is there anyone online who would like to make a comment or have a question? Omar, are you seeing any hands raised?
No hands, Mayor.
No hands?
No hands.
Okay, so we're going to close public comment now and go to the public hearing, notice of hardship for tree removal. Come on up, please.
I'm Linda Trembicki at 29 Knoll Road.
How you doing today, Linda?
I'm very good, feeling good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
I think everybody has the little handout that I
Yes.
wrote, so I'll just do a quick little rundown of the basic points, assuming that's appropriate. But I'm appealing tonight to mayor and council in order, under the hardship exception to the tree statute, to enable me to cut 2 trees on the eastern side of my property. And the reason for this appeal is I wish to put solar panels on my roof. And after several companies have come out and I've gotten my quotes, every single one of them has said, without removing at least these 2 trees, I don't produce enough energy to make solar, panels effective. So with my desire to be green, that's my goal in order to do this. So right now, the town's tree statute doesn't enable me to cut these trees down because I don't meet one of the 7 listed exceptions. Solar production is not considered, at this point at least, a viable, exception to the tree, to cutting trees. So I did put forward a request that was denied since I didn't meet the exceptions. And I was encouraged to appeal under the hardship appeal to see if you would consider my, permission to cut these 2 trees in order to accomplish that goal. So just one thing I'd like to, in addition to all the written materials I provided, one thing I'd just like to be clear of or make clear is that, our property is full of trees. I have quite a few of them. So Connor has come out and seen them. So if I do receive permission to cut the trees, that I'm not just cutting a tree for no reason. Number one, I'm cutting it for a green reason. And secondly, under the statute, I have to remediate and plant more trees. So I just want everybody to realize I'm not just cutting a tree for number one, no reason, and number 2, I'm actually having to remediate and put more trees back on my property or somewhere else. So it's not really a loss of a tree. So if anybody would like me to go through my packet, I'm happy to do that, but I don't want to have.
So I just have a question, then we're going to go to council questions. It's just, Omar, all the notice requirements were done, everything's good with that, so all the technicalities were good. I know, that's why I wasn't afraid to ask you.
Sorry, just so 33 of them was there. So they know about this, or is there?
Yes, they are. That's actually 33 is on the circle, so it's that side of the circle.
These are the 2 trees you're talking about are
They're
in between your
connected.
house and
Correct, yes.
And
They
they're
are
good
fine
with
with
this?
it, they agree with it. In fact, they're currently doing the renovation there, and they'd be happy with
Believe
this
you.
tree stuff. So I actually can just because I wanted to be sure of everything, and I'm a buy the book kind of gal. I did have the property staked to be 100% positive without any doubt that these are my trees, and they need to be there.
Okay, questions from the council?
Well, I'll provide some insight to my fellow council members. So this is a while back, Linda came, and at the time, the mayor had asked me as liaison to the Environmental Commission to bring it back there and see what the consensus was of the Environmental Commission. And, just full disclosure, really split down the middle. There were, people there who felt that, the trees have, the additional value in addition to, the carbon and stuff that they take away. But really split because the other half of the Environmental Commission was saying, well, the reason is this green reason, the solar panels. So basically, I came back and I was like, I have no direction or guidance from the Environmental Commission. And basically, there was this idea that obviously for this particular situation, she's even going for an appeal for a green reason. So I did get to visit the property. Her property is full of trees, and she does, like she says, have no problem with remediation. She values trees, and she wants to be able to take advantage of also some of these incentives that are happening now to have this green energy movement. And so I have to say that, I, for one, am very comfortable with this hardship appeal being granted, as I would say, the Environmental Commission understood the value of it as well.
If I could just add one other point that I didn't make clear in my few quick points, was that, we had, because I get quotes from lots of people, I just don't get one. And as I said, every single one of them said I need to remove some trees. Several said I need to remove 2 more trees. And I said, wait a minute. And then I went back.
3 originally.
Well, originally what happened is one was tilted, so I was able to get that, it was within 15 feet. So that one I could take down. But there were 2 additional ones that several of them wanted me to take down. And I said, well, can I really get that much? So I made them reevaluate to see how much percentage reduction I would lose if I didn't cut those 2. And because I really don't want to cut trees if I don't have to. And we did lose, maybe my husband remembers how much percentage, but a few percentage points. But it was very minor compared to these 2 trees, which is a massive amount of production that we would lose. So we scrapped that and said, well, that doesn't make sense to us with our goals either. And, we're really asking for just these 2. So I just want to be clear, not trying to go for the whole thing. We are trying to be thoughtful about what we in fact cut.
Do we have other questions from council members?
I appreciate your thoughtfulness, thoroughness, and patience. I too have seen the property. There are more trees than probably on my own, so thank you for doing what you do.
Anu, did you have a question?
Yeah, just how big are these trees?
Well, we mean height or width?
Oh, width, yeah. In terms of how many would you have to? Maybe the better question is, the remediation. How many trees would you be replacing?
I think, and I can't speak for Mike because once Mike Cassidy, that is, he denied my request. But I think it's for a tree like that big, it's at least 2 very large trees or smaller trees, I think, but I'm not positive if that's.
So 18 to 25 feet.
They're full grown oak trees.
Yeah,
They're probably 60 feet tall. They're well above our root line.
right, which is why they're causing.
Yeah.
No, because
Really-
Julie can say, they go way
They're
up.
really tall, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was just looking at the remediation,
Right.
chart, and so if it's 2 trees that you would have to replace, it's 18 to 24 inches is the size, the caliber of the tree, and that. So it's grown, but I don't know that it's I guess I'm just kind of trying to delve into how many the trees would be.
Right, well, all I know is from another tree, which
So,
I think it was similar size, right? The other tree, I mean, he said it was 2 big trees or 4, whatever, I mean, I actually haven't looked at the exact width of them.
Okay.
And you have space on the property?
We do, and yes, we have a space in the back, plus my next door neighbor yesterday just put up a fence for her pool. So we're gonna need to re-landscape anyhow, so I'm not just looking at a fence and things will, will not get proper sunlight, so I have to redo things anyhow. So my intention would be to put them back on the property if at all possible.
All right. Any other questions from council members? Okay, because this is a public hearing, we're going to open it up to public comment. Are there any members of the public in the chambers who would like to make a comment or ask a question about this matter only? Omar, anyone in the chambers asking to speak?
No hands, Mayor?
How about online? Are there any members of the public online that would like to ask a question or speak about this topic only, please?
See no hands, Mayor.
No hands? Okay, so we're going to close public comment time. It's time to vote now, and so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the removal of these trees based on the, what's it called going up? The
Solar panels.
solar panels, right, exactly. Could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Roller?
Yes.
Congratulations.
You're all set.
Your company gets called tomorrow.
Yeah, so Omar, what is the next step so they understand it?
So I'll let Mike Cassidy know the progress of what just occurred, and then also you get a refund of the $100 check that you.
Okay, very good. If I may just ask, do I need to wait for Mike to send me something so I can actually, do I have to get a regular permit again, or does this count as?
I'll talk to Mike about that. See if you more than likely you had to get another permit again.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in, Omar. The direction from the council will then go to Mike, telling him that he can approve the removal of trees. He will let you know what the mitigation is in the normal course of the transaction, as if it had originally been a tree that would have fallen under one of the categories that allowed for removal.
Okay, and then he'll give me a permit and then I'll
Correct.
get the tree.
Correct.
So it's waiting for Mike to get to me so I can get the permit.
It's waiting for Omar to tell Mike to.
Knowing that if a particular period of time passes and you have questions, reach out to Omar first.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you all, appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda, regular consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve resolutions 24-136? What? Oh, you have a question?
I don't know if I'm seeing double, but resolution 149 and 150, they seem like they were the same. What, is there a difference between them?
Yes. So one is for a 1239 and 1218 special ruling. A 1239 ruling is it comes from the state when you're for license, you don't pay either state or municipal fee. And then the 1218 is also it's in pocket status. So to keep it in active status, you have to get a 1218 grant.
So you have to do two of them.
Right. So they were two for 2 terms.
It's for the same company?
Yes.
For the same LLC?
So,
Yes.
so the 1218, you said, I only see the 1239.
So in the body of the 149, you'll see 1239 and 1218. And it had to be advertised in the newspaper. It should also have the advertisement. That license.
In 149, there's the the third whereas.
Oh, okay,
clause.
yes. Sorry. Okay, that's fine.
And just remind me again, I know the answers probably know this, but there's nothing we can do. These companies keep bringing out.
So there actually is a new law that will change the way this all happens starting in August.
2-year period. Go ahead.
And for the extensions, they won't be granted by the state. The municipality will have the opportunity to do one-time extension. And then you get to recollect your pocket licenses and bid them out again.
After 2 years.
So there's a sliding scale of how long they've been inactive for past ones.
Yep.
But for anything that is issued at this point, yes, it would be 2 years.
Interesting.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve resolution R24-136 through R24-151?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-152?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-153?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair? Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Thank you. Could I get a could I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-154?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-155, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve Resolution we just do 155 or 156? Okay, could I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-156?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-157?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
For
Omar, please, excuse me?
I was just.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if we can just get an understanding of what this is for.
157?
Yeah, there was work that was required on Dean Drive to make a repair, so we were able to utilize the emergency contractor from the Riverside Cooperative. And this is basically authorizing that work.
Could I get a motion to approve R24-157?
So moved.
It already happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We're on 158. R24-158. Could I have a
Roll call. Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, there's too many people talking to me at once. Just Omar, please. Go ahead, roll call, please.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-158.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Omar, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-159?
So moved.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution R24-160, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Councilmember
Roll call.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Could I get a motion on Resolution R24-161?
So moved.
This is another one. I just wanted an.
You have a question on 161?
Right.
Go ahead.
An explanation of what the project is.
Yeah, basically, the storm drain on Oak, there was some work being done by PSAG contractor in the area, and there was backup at the storm drain, and Colliers inspected as well as Mike Cassidy, and it was a failure in our storm drain line, not something caused by the PSAG contractor. So it turned into a repair that we were able to use the emergency repair contractor again from the Riverside Cooperative, and this is for the engineering services to oversee work that was done.
And so how much will the engineering cost be?
I think it was
Yeah,
I think it was $1,500.
No, that was the one that we saw before.
Yes.
The storm drain.
Yep.
Okay. So wait a minute, he asked a question on 161. Right, so now I need a second, right? Second, please.
Who made the motion?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll, R24-161.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Daniel O'Connor?
Yeah.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion, please, on R24-162?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Daniel O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Okay, we're moving on to the ordinances. Ordinance 2404, inspections and lead-based paint. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and title of the ordinance?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-04, it was published in the Sunday, March 24th edition of the Record. It's an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 10, Building and Housing to establish Chapter 10, Section 12, Inspection and lead-based paint.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for any public comments on this ordinance only, 2404. Anyone in the chambers that would like to comment on this? Okay, anyone out on Zoom that would like to comment on this ordinance? Omar, anyone?
See no hands.
Okay, we're going to close public comment time. Tonight, we're going to start from the left side of the dais. You ready to make a motion?
No.
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 24-04, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please conduct the roll call?
Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Daniel O'Connor?
Yep.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. We're going to move on to old business. The first item, and there will be a quick second item, is the Senior Services Committee bench request.
Yes, so the council had asked me to have the chief review the request, and attached in your agenda is the chief's report, along with some information that the chief was provided by DPW. There are number 3, the River Edge Road at South Summit Street. He indicates that a bench could be placed within the right of way, but it would slightly interfere with vehicles parking in lots. So I don't know if you want to take that off the list. Okay. Stop and
Is that
shop.
a yes, we're taking that off?
Take it
off.
The River Edge corner of South Summit. Did you say?
Yes.
This, our report, our report says private property. I mean, it's fine that both things are wrong.
Taking it off anyway.
Chiefs. Okay. So, okay. Who gave us this? Whose notes are these? These were.
Cassidy.
They were from Mike Cassidy.
Ah.
That was what Mike had given to the chief, and then the chief went out and inspected these.
So we're not doing this right.
Correct. Number 4, the Stop and Shop strip mall, that's private property.
And I apologize. So if you're going one by one, number 1 says probably not.
That's Cassidy's one.
So it's a chief.
Well,
saying-
Chief notes.
That's a
He
public
said,
right of way.
yeah, we could put, right now we have our bicycle rack and a garbage can there, so we would just need to get permission from the CDS. But we could put it there. And I don't think that we would have a problem with getting permission from the CDS.
They'll either say yes or they'll say
Subject to
no.
permission.
But then they're gonna take the bike rack away.
Is there not enough room for?
No, the bike rack's pretty used. I agree with that one.
I don't have a position, I'm just.
So why don't we let, when Michael goes out with his measuring
That's
tape,
why
he'll
he said
figure it out.
probably not. That's
Right.
probably what he was thinking of. Right.
So we want both, or the bike rack stays. I think that's
Correct.
what the council's saying. Okay.
All right. Number 2, the River Edge Road across from the municipal complex can accommodate a couple of benches, so that's a go.
Okay.
Just a quick question. On Washington Street, would we want to consider another bench somewhere on Washington Street?
I could go back to the
Wide
chief.
enough anywhere other than there where the bike.
Well, on the other side, there's,
Why
they're
not?
about
Yeah,
the
it's
same.
even narrow, lower.
No.
I don't know
There's
if it's
no
safe.
room really on the south side.
I don't know if it's safe, but you put it in, there's tons of space in the throughway,
The alleyway?
the alleyway.
I don't know if I can do that.
You can sit there in the shade on a hot day.
And that'll-
All right, let's keep moving. David, next one. Let's keep going.
The Stop and Shop is private property.
All right, guys, Stop and Shop,
Yeah,
number 4.
We would need permission from the property owner. Do you want to pursue that? So we're pursuing that, we're gonna see.
Sure.
All right, the Tenafly Road at Westervelt Avenue, all 4 corners have a home abutting them. The right of way could accommodate the bench, but the chief is suggesting that we get input from the property owners.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Woodland Park Drive and Leroy Street, the chief advises against that, so we would remove that
Okay.
location. Hamilton Place, the chief indicates a bench could be placed there. The location is maintained by BOE maintenance staff, so he suggested we get their input.
On number 8?
Number 7.
No, I'm going on to number 8.
Number 8, the school already has several benches, so he doesn't think that we.
So 8 is out.
8 is out. Number 9, again, houses occupy all the corners. We needed input from the property owners as to where we place the bench. The service road behind the Browning House, the chief indicates he can't visualize anyone wanting to sit on the bench in that area. So we'll take that off. Westervelt Avenue next to Davis Johnson Park, the area can accommodate a couple of benches, so that's a yes.
Okay.
Right? And then Woodland Street at Churchill, again, houses occupy both corners, it's the T intersection, and input from the property owners.
Okay.
So we want to
There's
pursue.
an area in front of like the nature center.
Okay.
The cost of the benches?
We don't, but we did, we do have, I think it's $4,000 that was set aside for the Pride Bench, in a previous, capital ordinance. So we will, the benches we can get supplied through a state contractor or cooperative, so I'll get a number on that once we have nailed down the exact locations and number of benches. We'll come back.
Are we looking
maybe
at
it-
private bench as well?
Yeah, so we
I thought
did
that got
get,
done.
we were, my office was contacted by the Pride Committee asking about the bench. We are trying to find a vendor. Apparently there was an issue why it wasn't ordered, that the vendor that the Pride Committee had recommended was from Canada, and we were prohibited from buying it from there for some purpose. But we're gonna move that forward. We did find one on Amazon, but the materials are probably not.
So we haven't identified a bench yet, basically.
So we're gonna go to the typical bench supplier that Mike uses and see if they have a source to get Pride.
Okay.
bench.
You have a question, Vanu?
Just 2 things. One is, we talked about the recycled plastic benches.
Terex.
Yeah, and that's one company that, but I don't know what we used in the, at the COVID memorial. But,
It would be something similar to that is what we would have.
right, and so we can probably find out who the vendor was for that.
That was from Mike. He
Right.
ordered
Yes.
that.
But the other thing is, I had sent you a request about the bench outside the borough, outside Borough Hall.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at the benches and conditions and either replace them or
Existing benches.
resurface them, depending on what the material is and so forth. But yeah, there's been some, what I think I responded to you, that we would like to do sort of a windshield test, if you will, to take a look at all the benches that we have, and make
Right.
sure they're in proper.
So am I right to interpret this, kind of based a little on John's question, that seeing what the money is after the Pride bench is purchased, then that would be the money that we determine off that list how many we're able to buy?
Well, the Pride bench is a little bit separate because that's gonna be in the color scheme and the actual Pride designation. So that's gonna be separate. So you have $4,000 set aside for that.
For
in this bond ordinance. The benches that we're talking about, they're gonna be similar to the benches that we currently have. They're available on state contractor through a cooperative, so we'll get a unit price for that. And then I'll give you a total once the number of benches goes. So on this report, there are a couple of benches in some areas, and then we're taking some benches off.
So we would say, hey, we want to do 4 instead.
It's a possibility, and Susan and I have talked about it, and we would probably recommend designating money from the open space fund to buy those benches.
We shall see.
Perhaps I'm gravely naive in the acquisition of benches with $4,000 sounds like quite a bit. There's
That's
an alternative we should be investigating.
well, we're gonna investigate that. I didn't set the 4,000. It was in a previous bond ordinance. I would not want to spend 4,000 if we can get it cheap.
That's for one leg.
$4,000 for all the benches makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Are we done with the bench report now?
Yes.
Okay.
Reach out with the
What?
We should talk about what color the benches.
We're gonna have another meeting after the meeting. All right. The second item in old business is EV charging stations. So we were approached by the vendor, and they asked if we're willing to allow them to basically double the size, double the number of stations that they'll install at the same locations, but instead of putting in 2, they'll put in 4, whatever the math is. We've talked about it extensively. In general, it sounds like a good idea. We're rereading the contract to have a clearer understanding again to determine if and what we're committing the borough to at the later date. If we don't particularly like these in these locations, so we're going to review that. And so really the question from the council is that if it makes sense, do we have a consensus to allow the vendor to do that?
So just one thing, and I trust Councilman Dr. O'Connor on this, totally recall. Another thing to think of, if you put 100 of these out there, similar to sometimes when we put dedicated parking, we're taking away, if we double the number of the stations, I assume, because it's only appropriate and polite, you don't park there with your, F-350.
Right, it's an issue, right.
So again, just as we think about this, and I'm done after that, it's just, it does take away a parking spot for everyone we put in.
It's not a legal prohibition to that, right?
So, no, actually, there will be,
Yeah.
because once you designate these parking spots, because they could potentially, they're there for EV charging, and people that plug in are paying to get that charge. So you will be passing an ordinance that will designate those spots for EV charging, and will be a towaway zone for someone that's not an EV car.
So if I could just, so I think what the mayor is saying then is that, I'll just give you the kind of the big view is, what happened is Green Spot, just as a reminder for the public, so this is no cost to install, no cost for the operation of it or the maintenance of it. So it's a very good deal, and we keep revisiting the contract to make sure that that's the situations, but that's exciting. We have kept open some places that potentially in the future will be turned into pedestrian plazas. For example, the Hyler Park area and that area that has the Tenafly taxi. We're not putting them there because those might be pedestrian spots. Of the 3 spots that the company was interested in, they were interested in that CVS parking lot and what they call the farmers market parking lot, which is the lot on Washington across from the post office. And the third place was the municipal lot. The scope so far has been 2 spots in each of those lots, with the municipal parking lot having 2 of the spots of the level 2 charger and 2 fast charge parking spots, which are those level 3 that they charge people really fast. What the vendor came back and asked us is, they said, hey, we're good to put in 4 in the CVS lot, 4 in the farmer's market lot, and 6 in the municipal lot. I felt that the CVS lot is already pretty full and we should keep it at 2. That's my opinion. The farmer's market lot, I feel can go to 4 because I see so many EVs around this town all the time that I feel like rather than looking at it taking away a spot, I think people will pull in and actually charge there. And I don't feel that it's really so on the beaten path that it's a problem. That's just my opinion. And then the third place is the municipal lot, where it's going from 2 level 2s and 2 level 3 fast charge, would go to 4 level 2s and 2 level 3 fast charge. I'm ambivalent. I don't really have an opinion. But that's what they had proposed. So the mayor said, let's just take it to you all, see where you're at, revisit to them about what we would say yay or nay. They are obviously interested in making money. At the same time, we're getting something because they're putting in the whole kit and caboodle without costing us any money. So just something for you to consider. But that's the specific proposal. So if we can get maybe some sort of consensus, I mean, you know, my opinion in those spots, and then that would allow us to go back.
You have to be charging if you're parking it, or is it allocated for EV cars?
Yeah, you have to.
You have to be charging.
It is too many in CVS for sure. Like that lot is super tight.
Keep it at
So tight. Two is a lot, I think, but I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
The farmer's market, I think is probably also okay at 4. The municipal, I think is too high. I think you read 9, right?
No, it's 2 regulars and 2 fasts.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to go to 4 regulars.
And 2 fast.
And 2 fast.
So 6. And the municipal lot is defined as which one?
Here.
That's right here.
Okay, I think that's also too many, because parking in here gets very, very congested. I'm fully supportive of it. I have an EV, so if I can charge my car, I'm great.
That's why I said it was a totally neutral one.
Yeah, I also think the majority of residents here have home charging facilities.
They
and I
will.
think that's part of it. So. to be
But we also
perfectly-
do have a lot of visitors to this lot too.
Visitors I'm less
Yeah.
interested in terms of accommodating a number like 6, right? I think that's a lot for EV charging, people come in and charge their cars. I think we need to be very careful about what we pass in the regard in terms of you can only stay here for a certain amount of time. If you're not charging, you're charging up, you get charged, right? That
Yes,
has to be
that
a,
they,
there has to be a
they have
disincentive
that
to just
structure.
park there because look at me, I have an EV.
Yeah.
And I think we need to cut the number down to be accommodative of the spaces. I think we should look at a percentage allocation potentially. Although I'd probably lose that argument because municipal would support 6. But I do think all of our lots get pretty congested, so we need to be thoughtful of what we do. So I don't know if we're deciding this tonight, but love the initiative, love the project. Just
I
wanna
was
be-
on the same page as
Yeah.
far as
Just
where
like-
my thinking was.
I was gonna
Regular
take a
amount, and then see for like for 6 months and see.
No, because they won't come back and dig a hole again.
They have to run new electricity in the
Right,
pole
yeah.
to get.
That's why they were asking for larger now.
All right,
before
so
they even
we're
started.
gonna, like I said, look at the agreements in a little more detail, figure out what makes sense. Clearly, it sounds like we don't want to increase anything in the CVS lot, and
And
just
then
make
you
sure
just-
we have our act together everywhere else.
Yeah,
Since it was just you brought, reminded me of something, we had discussed this.
yes.
You brought up the taxi spots that are in the middle island. Back in the day, there used to be taxis everywhere.
And there's
Now,
none now.
unfortunately, Uber,
We
everything
should
else,
take those signs
we're
down.
using up 4 spots.
You're absolutely right. They're empty because people are scared to park in them.
Oh,
Those-
they
those
should,
should
it
be-
says parking for
Yeah.
taxis.
Those signs should be removed.
I like that
We
one.
should be, so we should actually,
What do we have to do to get, just literally
for
pull those up?
administrator,
Okay, so
Yes.
David, why don't you look at that?
get rid of that.
This is the taxi, what?
We need to take it out of the ordinance? or the
Well, no, I was
basic-
gonna say is I think the point's gonna be moved because it's part of the pilot closure.
Okay.
But if I know, but the pilot closure, as the chief is thinking right now, is it's still gonna be used for parking.
So, David, let's find
I was
out
under the impression
if
it wasn't.
anyone's using it as a taxi stand anymore,
But
right?
I would just say, and again, I don't know if we need an ordinance or anything, but
Get
If
rid
it's
of
in
those
the ordinance, we'll.
like,
we'll
let's
remove it.
vote right now.
Yeah.
signs.
Get rid of them? Yeah.
Yeah, just get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Wait a minute, you want to vote on what?
Getting rid of the
Get
taxi
rid of the
spots.
taxi stands.
Okay, so do we know if there's license agreements or anything like that? That's why I'm recommending, council do whatever you think is best. I'm recommending we at least find out what.
We
should find out
Tax rates
first.
are.
Yeah.
Fine,
And then
find
let's
out.
put it on the
Next
27th
agenda,
agenda, 27th, April.
25th.
25th.
I want
Thursday.
Saturday.
We're the 27th.
From now on,
Okay.
Saturday meeting.
All right, let's move on to,
That's a
can
good idea.
I get a motion to approve the minutes of March 19th, the closed session, and March 19th, 2024 mayor and council meeting?
Thank you.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Got 2 more minutes. Anybody have anything for the good of the order or upcoming meetings? Okay, we're gonna move on to new business.
Oh, sorry, actually, we should just remind Little League opening day next Saturday, the 20th,
That's right.
at 8:30. Is that, I think it starts, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So everybody should come.
Okay,
Warming up the first pitch, my man?
I think I might be.
Are you warming up the shoulder?
Absolutely, I've been practicing.
Good.
I go up to the Bronx, Yankee Stadium all the time to practice. All right. Councilman Park, would you like the introduction of ordinance 24-05, COLA? Would you like to make the motion?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 2405 and set the hearing for May 7th, 2024 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-05, calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Okay, can you go ahead and conduct the roll call?
Sure. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Minnick?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Larry?
Yes.
Okay, bond ordinance 24-06. Councilman Menon, would you like to make a motion, please?
Sure. I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 24-06 and set the hearing for May 7, 2024 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call, please?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-06, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal system equipment, new additional furnishings, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, in, by, and for the Borough of Tenafly and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $3,725,500 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
A roll call, please.
Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Minnick.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Larry.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance R24-163, excuse me. Oh, you want, okay, right. Introduce this one.
It would be 2407.
2407. Okay, ordinance 24-07. Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor, would you like to make the motion, please?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading, ordinance 24-07 and set the hearing for May 7th,
We could actually have that on April 25th.
April 25th at 7:30, 8 o'clock, or as soon thereafter.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 24-07, an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 7, Traffic of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly, 2004, to add a four-way stop intersection at Highwood Avenue and J Street.
Hold the roll, please.
Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Minnick.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Larry.
Yes.
Resolution 24-163, introduction to 2024 municipal budget. Council President Michaels, would you like to make a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move to adopt resolution 24-163, which introduces the 2024 municipal budget and set the hearing for May 7th, 2024 at 8 o'clock or as soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Tenafly Municipal Center for the hearing on the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, please conduct the roll call.
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary.
Yes.
And Susan and David, thank you for all the work. I have to say, especially Susan, because it's taken months and months. So thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Next to committee reports, I'm going to make a recommendation to the council that we move the committee reports to the next meeting in light of the fact that we have a heavy closed session tonight, if that's okay with the council.
Second.
Everyone okay with that? Okay, so of course I have some mayor's remarks tonight, but I'll be quick.
Wow.
What do you
Wow.
have to say? Rearranging my stock.
Wow.
No, it's just an appointment, but it's an important appointment. We're going to appoint Dr. Natasha Levine to the Board of Health. She is a doctor at Columbia University, the Irvine Medical Center. So she'll be joining our Board of Health. We're glad and really thankful to have her. Omar, is there anything else I need to do with that? Okay, thank you. All right, can we? Well, we do need a resolution for that. Okay, so we'll put that on for
The next meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we
that's
don't
fine.
meet for a while.
All good.
Board of Health.
Can you read the closed session? Can you please? I don't think they want me to say anything else.
Resolution R24-164 as a mayor of the meeting council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on April 9, 2024. Be it resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the mayor and council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters: real property, both municipal property and potential property acquisition, attorney-client privilege litigation, personnel, police department, collective bargaining, the DPW driver laborers updates. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time that the matter is resolved.
Have a motion to go into closed, please.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, we're going into closed session, please.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Are you ready, Omar?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to get a motion, please, to approve resolution R24-165, appointing Dr. Natasha Levine to the Board of Health. Can I have a motion, please? Can I have a second? Second. Omar, can you read the roll?
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I have a motion to close the council meeting?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.